For more than 4 decades, the world looked at John Travolta and saw confidence. They saw the dancing king of Hollywood, the charming rebel from Greece, the smooth-talking star who could light up a screen with nothing more than a smile. But behind that smile, behind the fame, the private jets, the red carpets, and the applause, was a man carrying a sadness so deep that even Hollywood couldn't hide it forever. And now, at 72 years old, fans are beginning to notice something disturbing. The energy is different. The eyes are different. The laughter that once felt effortless now feels quieter, heavier, almost distant. Because time did something cruel to John Travolta. It took away the people he loved most, one by one. And the heartbreaking truth is, some people believe he never fully recovered. Not after the losses. Not after the grief. Not after the loneliness that slowly followed him through the final years of his fame. Today, when fans see recent photos of John Travolta, many struggle to recognize the man who once symbolized joy itself. The dancing icon who made audiences feel alive now often appears reflective, isolated, and emotionally exhausted. But to understand why his story became so tragic, you have to go back to the beginning. Back before the fame. Back before Hollywood. Back to a skinny boy from New Jersey who dreamed of escaping ordinary life and had no idea how much that dream would eventually cost him. John Joseph Travolta was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey. He was the youngest of 6 children in a loud, artistic, ambitious family. His mother, Helen, was an actress and drama teacher. His father sold tires but secretly loved performing. Entertainment wasn't just part of the household. It was the household. Music played constantly. Conversations were theatrical. The family lived with emotion turned all the way up. And from an early age, young John absorbed all of it. But there was something different about him. Even as a child, he carried an unusual sensitivity. Friends later described him as energetic but deeply emotional. Someone who desperately wanted people to love him. And maybe that became the hidden theme of his entire life. The need to be accepted. The need to feel seen. The need to outrun loneliness before it could catch him. As a teenager, Travolta became obsessed with acting, dancing, and performing. School barely interested him. Hollywood did. At just 16 years old, he made a decision that terrified his family. He dropped out of high school and moved to New York City to chase stardom. It sounded reckless, maybe even impossible. Thousands of young dreamers tried the same thing every year, and most disappeared into obscurity. But John had something unusual, a magnetic presence. People noticed him immediately. There was warmth in his face, movement in his body, charm that didn't feel manufactured. He wasn't just handsome. He felt approachable, human. Audiences trusted him almost instantly. That quality would later make him one of the biggest stars on earth. But in the beginning, life was far from glamorous. He struggled constantly. Small auditions, tiny apartments, long nights wondering if he had made a mistake. And beneath his ambition, there was fear. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear that maybe he wasn't enough for the dream he was chasing. But then, everything changed. In the mid-1970s, Travolta landed a role on the television sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter. Suddenly, America noticed him. The swagger, the humor, the confidence. Teenage audiences exploded with excitement. Young women covered their bedroom walls with his posters. Producers realized they had found something rare. A star who felt both glamorous and relatable at the same time. But television success was only the beginning. Because what happened next transformed John Travolta into something much bigger than an actor. He became a cultural phenomenon. In 1977, Saturday Night Fever arrived. And overnight, John Travolta became unstoppable. The film wasn't just successful. It became a global obsession. Travolta's performance as Tony Manero captured something audiences had never seen before. A young man using dance to escape pain, poverty, and emotional emptiness. Ironically, the role mirrored parts of Travolta himself. Behind the dancing was sadness. Behind the confidence was insecurity. Behind the swagger was a desperate need for meaning. But audiences didn't focus on the darkness. They focused on the magic, the white suit, the disco lights, the movement, the soundtrack. John Travolta suddenly became one of the most famous people alive. Women screamed when he entered rooms. Studios threw money at him. The media crowned him the future of Hollywood. And then, somehow, it got even bigger. Because only a year later, Grease exploded into theaters. And history changed forever. As Danny Zuko, Travolta became immortal. The smile, the leather jacket, the dancing, the chemistry with Olivia Newton-John. Everything about the film became iconic. Even today, decades later, audiences still watch Grease and feel nostalgic for a simpler time. And at the center of it all was John Travolta. Young, beautiful, untouchable. At least, that's how it looked from the outside. But fame has a dangerous way of distorting reality. The world saw a man living a fantasy. Yet privately, pressure was already building. Because overnight success can become a prison. Suddenly, everyone expected Travolta to remain perfect forever. Hollywood wanted him young forever, energetic forever, successful forever. And the terrifying truth about fame is this: the higher someone rises, the more brutal the fall becomes. By the early 1980s, Travolta was everywhere. Interviews, award shows, magazine covers, movie premieres. But behind closed doors, cracks were beginning to appear. He faced enormous pressure choosing projects. One wrong film could destroy momentum. One failure could turn admiration into mockery. And slowly, the hits stopped coming. Movies underperformed. Critics became crueler. Hollywood's attention shifted toward younger stars. The same industry that once worshipped him suddenly seemed impatient with him. And for someone as emotionally sensitive as Travolta, that rejection cut deep. People close to him later described periods of self-doubt and insecurity during those years. He reportedly questioned his instincts, questioned his career, questioned whether audiences still cared about him. That's the brutal cycle of Hollywood. One decade, they treat you like royalty. The next, they act like you never existed. And John Travolta was about to learn that lesson in the most painful way imaginable. Because while his career fluctuated publicly, his private life was becoming increasingly complicated behind the scenes. Rumors surrounded him constantly. Tabloids followed his every move. Speculation about his personal life became relentless. And the more famous he became, the lonelier he sometimes appeared. There's something deeply tragic about celebrity isolation. Millions of people know your name, but very few actually know you. Travolta often seemed caught between public expectations and private reality, trying to maintain an image, trying to stay beloved, trying to keep smiling even when the pressure became overwhelming. But then something happened that changed him emotionally forever. Something devastating. In 1991, John Travolta married actress Kelly Preston, and for the first time in years, he genuinely looked happy. Not Hollywood happy, not red carpet happy, real happy. The two shared undeniable chemistry. Friends described them as deeply connected, playful, affectionate, and unusually supportive for a Hollywood couple. Kelly became more than a wife. She became emotional stability, a safe place. Someone who made Travolta feel grounded in an industry designed to destroy stability. Together, they built a family. And for a while, it looked like John Travolta had finally escaped the curse that destroys so many celebrities. He had fame, love, children, a future. But life has a cruel habit of attacking people right when they begin to feel safe. And the tragedy that arrived next would shatter John Travolta in ways the public could barely comprehend. Their son, Jett Travolta, was born in 1992. John adored him. Absolutely adored him. Friends said fatherhood transformed Travolta emotionally. He became softer, more protective, more focused on family than Hollywood. Jett became the center of his universe. But over the years, the family quietly faced private struggles involving Jett's health and development. The media speculated constantly. Rumors spread endlessly. And through it all, Travolta and Kelly tried desperately to protect their son from public scrutiny. But nothing could prepare them for what happened in January 2009. While vacationing in the Bahamas, Jett Travolta suffered a seizure and tragically died at just 16 years old. The world was stunned. But for John Travolta, it was more than tragedy. It was emotional annihilation. People who saw him after Jett's death described a man completely shattered, not emotionally wounded, destroyed. Because no amount of fame prepares a parent to bury their child. No applause can soften that kind of grief. No success can fill that emptiness. And suddenly, the smiling Hollywood icon looked broken in a way audiences had never seen before. Fans noticed it immediately. The sparkle in his eyes seemed dimmer. Interviews became quieter. Appearances became less frequent. It was as if part of him disappeared with Jett. And privately, those closest to him feared he might never truly recover. But heartbreak wasn't finished with John Travolta yet. Not even close. Because the next tragedy waiting in the shadows would become even more devastating. And by the time it happened, the man who once danced under disco lights for the entire world would barely recognize himself anymore. When John Travolta buried his son, something inside him seemed to disappear forever. Not publicly. Not immediately. Hollywood celebrities are trained to perform strength even when they're collapsing internally. They smile for cameras. They thank fans. They continue interviews. And somehow, they convince the world they're surviving. But grief has a way of leaking through the cracks. Especially the kind of grief that never truly heals. After Jett Travolta's death in 2009, fans began noticing subtle changes in John. His voice sounded heavier. His eyes looked tired. The energy that once made him magnetic suddenly felt fragile, almost haunted. And perhaps the most heartbreaking part was this. He genuinely tried to keep going. He tried to remain present for his family. For Kelly. For his daughter Ella. For his younger son Benjamin. But people close to him later revealed that Jett's death devastated the entire family beyond words. Because Jett wasn't simply John's son. He was his emotional center. The child who transformed him from a movie star into a father. And losing him created a silence inside the Travolta household that never fully went away. 4 months after the tragedy, John largely disappeared from public life. Fans worried constantly. Tabloids circled the family relentlessly. Every photo became headline news. Every appearance was analyzed. Was he coping? Was he depressed? Would he ever return to Hollywood? And beneath all the media speculation was a darker reality nobody could truly understand except the family themselves. They were living through unimaginable grief while the entire world watched. That kind of pain changes people permanently. And for John Travolta, it marked the beginning of a different chapter of life. A quieter chapter. A sadder one. But also a deeply human one. Because for the first time in decades, the superstar image began fading away. And audiences started seeing the vulnerable man underneath. In the years following Jett's death, Travolta slowly attempted to rebuild his life. He returned to acting. He attended events again. He smiled in public. But many longtime fans sensed something different. The joy no longer looked effortless. There was caution in him now. A heaviness. As though part of his emotional spirit remained trapped in 2009. And yet, he kept trying. That resilience became one of the most overlooked parts of John Travolta's story. Because many people facing that level of tragedy completely collapse. Some disappear. Some turn self-destructive. Some never emotionally recover. But Travolta kept moving forward even while carrying unbearable grief. And for a while, Kelly Preston became the reason he could still stand. Their marriage grew even stronger after losing Jett. Friends described them as inseparable during those years. Protective of each other. Emotionally dependent on each other. They leaned on one another to survive the pain. And Kelly, especially, became John's emotional anchor. Which is why what happened next would feel almost impossibly cruel. Because just when life seemed to stabilize, another nightmare arrived. In 2020, Kelly Preston died after a private battle with breast cancer. She was only 57 years old. And once again, John Travolta's world shattered. The announcement stunned Hollywood. Many people didn't even know she had been sick. The family had kept her illness intensely private. And when the news broke, fans around the world reacted with genuine heartbreak, because people understood immediately what this meant for John. This wasn't simply the loss of a wife. This was the loss of the person who helped him survive his son's death. The loss of his emotional partner, his best friend, the person who had carried him through the darkest years of his life. And suddenly, at an age when many people begin slowing down and reflecting on life, Travolta found himself drowning in grief all over again. Except this time, the loneliness felt even heavier. Because now the house was quieter. The routines were gone. The companionship disappeared overnight. And the public could see it. When John spoke about Kelly after her death, there was a level of pain in his voice that felt almost difficult to listen to. At one point, he openly admitted grief was deeply personal and unpredictable. And many fans were shocked by how emotionally honest he sounded. Not like a celebrity giving polished answers. Like a broken husband trying to survive unbearable loss. That honesty made people see him differently. For decades, John Travolta had been viewed as larger than life. But now audiences saw a grieving father. A grieving widower. A man trying desperately to hold his family together while his own heart was falling apart. And perhaps that's why public sympathy toward him became stronger than ever before. Because beneath the fame, people recognized something painfully universal. Loss. There's a cruel reality about aging in Hollywood that very few people talk about honestly. The industry celebrates youth, but often abandons people once they begin getting older. And for stars who were once considered untouchable, the emotional impact can be devastating. John Travolta knew this feeling better than most. In the 1970s and 80s, he was one of the most desired men on earth. Studios built movies around him. Fans worshipped him. His name alone could fill theaters. But Hollywood changed. The culture changed. New stars arrived. And slowly, Travolta's career became unpredictable. There were comebacks, yes. Most famously with Pulp Fiction in 1994, where director Quentin Tarantino resurrected Travolta's career and reminded audiences how brilliant he could still be. The performance became legendary. It earned him critical acclaim all over again. For a moment, it looked like John Travolta had fully conquered Hollywood a second time. But even after Pulp Fiction, instability continued following him. Some films succeeded. Many failed. Critics could be brutal. And the internet era made everything worse. Because suddenly, celebrities weren't just judged for their performances. They were dissected personally, mocked endlessly, turned into memes. Travolta became the target of public jokes at times, especially regarding awkward interviews, unusual career choices, or tabloid rumors surrounding his personal life. For someone deeply sensitive to public perception, it hurt. People close to him have long suggested that he cared deeply about how audiences viewed him. Maybe too deeply. And that created emotional exhaustion over time. Imagine spending decades trying to stay loved by strangers. Trying to preserve an image while aging in front of millions. Trying to remain John Travolta, even when life keeps tearing pieces away from you. Eventually, that becomes psychologically draining. And fans slowly began noticing signs of emotional wear. His public appearances became more selective. He spent more time away from Hollywood. More time with family. More time isolated from the chaos that once defined his life. But isolation can become dangerous too, especially after repeated tragedy. Because grief often grows louder in silence. Then came another shocking transformation that deeply affected public perception of John Travolta. His appearance began changing dramatically. For decades, Travolta had been associated with youthful energy and movie star charisma. But as he entered his late 60s and early 70s, aging became impossible to hide. And unlike many celebrities who aggressively conceal aging through cosmetic procedures or public reinvention, Travolta gradually appeared more natural, more stripped down, more emotionally exposed. When he publicly embraced being bald after years of speculation about his hair, fans reacted emotionally. Some applauded him. Others were stunned. Because symbolically, it felt like the final goodbye to the young Hollywood idol audiences once knew. The Danny Zuko era was truly gone. The Disco King was gone. Now people were looking at an older man marked by grief, survival, and time itself. And strangely, that honesty made him even more human. But it also intensified public sadness surrounding him. Recent photos and appearances often trigger emotional reactions online. Fans comment on how tired he looks, how reflective he seems, how different his smile feels now compared to decades earlier. And while much of that is simply natural aging, there's also the emotional reality behind it. Pain changes people physically. Grief changes posture. Loss changes eyes. Some wounds don't remain invisible forever. Yet despite everything, there are moments where John Travolta still tries to find light. And those moments are perhaps the most heartbreaking of all, because they reveal a man refusing to completely surrender to darkness. His relationship with his daughter, Ella Blue Travolta, became especially meaningful after Kelly's death. Fans noticed how protective and loving he remained as a father. In social media posts, interviews, and public tributes, Travolta often expressed profound love for his children. And many people believe they became his reason to keep moving forward. But even those tender moments carry sadness underneath. Because audiences know who's missing. Jett is missing. Kelly is missing. The family photographs feel incomplete now. And perhaps John feels that absence every single day. There's one particular reality about grief that many celebrities never admit publicly. You don't move on. You simply learn how to continue while carrying pain. And John Travolta increasingly seemed like a man carrying pain everywhere he went. Quietly, privately, constantly. As the years passed, rumors about his emotional state only intensified. Some tabloids speculated about depression. Others claimed he had become increasingly isolated. There were endless stories about loneliness, career uncertainty, and emotional withdrawal. Now, to be fair, celebrity rumors are often exaggerated. But what made these stories resonate with fans was simple. People could already see the sadness themselves. Not because John openly complained, not because he sought pity, but because grief leaves visible fingerprints on human beings, especially after repeated devastation. And perhaps what makes John Travolta's story so emotionally powerful is this. He spent most of his career making audiences feel joy. Think about it. Grease, Saturday Night Fever, his dancing, his smile, his charisma. He represented energy, movement, life itself. Yet privately, his later years became defined by funerals, loss, and survival. Feels tragically unfair. And maybe that contrast is exactly why audiences struggle emotionally when they see him today. Because people remember who he was, and they can sense how much he has endured. But the most haunting part of John Travolta's story might not be the tragedies themselves. It might be what those tragedies revealed. Because beneath the Hollywood glamour, beneath the fame, beneath the celebrity myth, was a man terrified of losing the people he loved. And eventually, he lost them anyway. But what happened behind closed doors after Kelly's death, and the deeply emotional truth about how John lives today, is something most fans still don't fully understand. And the reality is far more heartbreaking than people realize. Today, when people look at John Travolta, they don't just see a movie star growing older. They see survival. They see grief. They see a man who somehow kept standing after life took almost everything from him. At 72, John Travolta lives a far quieter life than the world ever imagined for him. The parties are mostly gone. The non-stop Hollywood spotlight faded years ago. And in many ways, he seems more reflective now than famous. But maybe that's because tragedy changes priorities. After losing both his son Jett and his wife Kelly Preston, people close to Travolta say family became his entire world. His children became the reason to keep moving, the reason to wake up, the reason not to completely disappear into grief. And yet, even in his happiest public moments, there's often a sadness underneath that fans can feel immediately. Because some pain never truly leaves a person. It simply becomes part of who they are. One of the most emotional things about John Travolta today is how much he reminds people of time itself. Fans who grew up watching Grease or Saturday Night Fever now look at him and realize something painful. Their own youth disappeared too. That's why recent photos of Travolta hit people so hard emotionally. The bald head, the tired eyes, the quieter smile. He no longer looks like the untouchable Hollywood heartthrob from the 1970s. He looks human, fragile, reflective, a man carrying memories heavier than fame. And strangely, that may be why audiences feel even more connected to him now than they did during his peak years. Because perfection is distant. Pain is relatable. Despite everything, Travolta still tries to honor the people he lost. He frequently posts emotional tributes to Kelly and Jett, birthdays, anniversaries, family memories, and every message feels deeply personal. Almost like a man refusing to let grief erase the people he loved most. That emotional loyalty is what keeps many fans attached to him. Because underneath the celebrity image, John Travolta ultimately became something far more heartbreaking. A father who lost his son. A husband who lost his wife. A man trying to survive loneliness while the whole world watches him age. And maybe that's the cruelest part of fame. People see the glamour, but not the silence waiting behind closed doors. There was a time when John Travolta made audiences dance. Now, he makes many of them cry. Not because he failed, not because he disappeared, but because life humbled him in the most painful ways imaginable. And perhaps the reason his story hurts so deeply is because it reminds us of something terrifyingly human. No amount of fame can protect someone from loss. Not money, not success, not applause. At the end of the day, even the biggest stars in the world can end up sitting alone with memories that refuse to fade. And when fans look at John Travolta now, they aren't just looking at a celebrity. They're looking at a man who loved deeply, lost deeply, and somehow kept going anyway. That may be the most heartbreaking role of his entire life.